Greetings from Fort Wayne, in a week in which we learned officially that there will be no minor league baseball season in 2020. The show still goes on for the TinCaps, in video game form at least, as the team plays MLB The Show 20 on PS4. Tonight, Fort Wayne hosts the Cleveland Indians-affiliated Lake County Captains. Hi, everyone, and a pleasant Thursday evening to you, as well as an early happy 4th of July. I'm John Nolan, joined by our producer extraordinaire, Tim Badgema, and Zach Webb with the controller in his hands. Jack McMullen has the week off. Thanks so much for joining us, whether that's on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. And, of course, the finality of Tuesday's news that there will be no MILB season this year has been tough for all of us in the minor league baseball community to come to terms with. And while no doubt it is a major setback, all we can do is look forward to an even bigger comeback. So in the meantime, we appreciate your support of the Caps. And even if we won't have a record-setting crowd at Parkview Field like usual this Independence Day, tonight we'll still get to see the Caps in red, white, and blue. And in case you haven't seen one of our virtual broadcasts before, we've created something of a super team of Fort Wayne alumni, from Wizards-era legends like Torrey Hunter to current MLB stars such as Fernando Tatis Jr. and even up-and-coming prospects like catcher Blake Hunt, who will join us on the phone in the second inning. You see all of them in the starting lineup, and the same goes on the other side for the Captains, who hail from Northeast Ohio, as their lineup tonight includes all-stars Francisco Lindor, Jose Ramirez, and Shane Bieber on the mound. He's matched up against Joey Cantillo, the 2019 Midwest League left-handed pitcher of the year, who will have our first pitch coming up here in a moment. Feel free to interact with us as we broadcast tonight's game, whether that's commenting on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. However you've got us, glad to have you along. So there's a look at Joey in these special patriotic uniforms here, a couple days shy of the 4th. And Greg Allen will lead things off against him. Allen, the 2015 Lake County captain, actually grew up rooting for the TinCaps parent club, the Padres, as he's a San Diego native. He played for Tony Gwynn at San Diego State. Trying to bunt his way on, but there's Trey Turner. Game to field it, and there's one away. Turner over at third base, while he's normally the shortstop for the reigning World Series champion Nationals. But gives way to Fernando Tatis Jr. at that spot. Here's Aaron Bracho for Lake County. Now, Bracho has never actually played for the Captains, but he was expected to be their top prospect this season. He's only 19 years old, from Venezuela, and MLB.com rates him as the 7th best prospect in Cleveland's farm system. Cantillo, meanwhile, a top 10 prospect for the Padres. There's a swing and a miss, and it's strike 3, and it's strikeout number 1 tonight for Cantillo, and maybe it's not the real deal, but for the sake of this game, give him credit for his first big league punch-out. So that means 2 outs, no one on for the 4-time All-Star and the face of the franchise for the Indians, Francisco Lindor. Lindor played for Lake County back in 2012, and he was a Midwest League All-Star that season as just a teenager.
Nope, inside, ball 2.
Seems like so long ago at this point, but don't forget, back in the original baseball offseason, there was speculation about a potential trade of Lindor to the Padres. There's Cantillo, getting the velocity up to 96. It's 2-1. Through the hole on the right side, it's a base hit. Well, so far in this virtual season, believe it or not, the TinCaps are 77-0. It's been a perfect first few months of the campaign. And along the way, with our video production intern, Zach Webb, at the controls, The TinCaps have thrown multiple no-hitters and even perfect games. But that's going to be tough to do, and in fact, already now with Lindor with the base hit, won't happen tonight. We'll see, though, if Joey Cantillo can help to lead the charge in a shutout bid. But not easy here against this star-studded Captains roster, with Jose Ramirez cleaning up. Ramirez and Lindor have formed quite the duo in Cleveland. And they were teammates together with the Captains back in 2012. And there's Joey Cantillo getting Ramirez to chase after the breaking ball. A second strikeout for Cantillo and a scoreless top of the first. As a form of our appreciation for you tuning in here tonight, we want to give you a special promo code to use to get 15% off if you shop online at TinCaps.com. You see Johnny TinCap holding the sign up right there, Live 15. Now this promo only valid during our broadcast here tonight, which we imagine will go up until about 8:30 or so. So take advantage of it. Thanks for tuning in. Live 15 to save 15% off at TinCaps.com. And may we suggest while you're shopping there to check out some of the patriotic gear that is available at TinCaps.com. And the Captains road grays. Here's Shane Bieber. Now, Bieber had a rather short stint with Lake County in the Midwest League a few years ago in 2017. As a matter of fact, never faced the TinCaps, but in 5 starts he was dominant and then quickly ascended up the ladder in the Indian system. Last year, made his first Major League All-Star team, and the numbers that he put up last year in the big leagues comparable to the small sample that he had here at the Class A level, with Malik Smith leading it off for the Caps. Smith, a 2014 Midwest League All-Star, meekly hits that flare to Lindor for the first out. Another look at the TinCaps starting lineup. It's brought to you by Child's Play Plus. And note, Blake Hunt doing the catching, and we'll have Blake on the phone in just a bit in the second. Another 2014 TinCap, Trey Turner. Turner in 2014, after he was drafted out of NC State in the first round by the Padres, he carried the TinCaps to the Eastern Division Championship Series, only to fall short against the Captains. They were the Eastern Division champs that year. 2 up, 2 down, no one on for Fernando Tatis Jr. Got to see Tatis in the red, white, and blue special edition jerseys a few years ago in 2017. TinCaps actually played the Captains on the 4th that year, and Tatis had a triple and a shutout victory. The other way to right, but it's right at Bradley Zimmer, and so the Caps go down in order in the first. No score as we go to the second, and we'll have Padres catching prospect Blake Hunt joining us after this. The Fort Wayne TinCaps are bringing the delicious food of Parkview Field home to you. The TinCaps 5 meal kits include 5 complete meals. Worth of shopping and meal planning taken care of by the executive chefs at Parkview Fields. Kits can be ordered at TinCaps.com. We provide easy, contactless pickup right at the ballpark. Head to TinCaps.com now for this week's updated menu. Here, I'll count you down. I'm going to turn my mic on. Are you good? Okay. 3, 2, and 1. There's a live look at Parkview Field in downtown Fort Wayne, and that's where our guest Blake Hunt got to call home for last spring and summer. There's a look at Blake rocking the red, white, and blue last year on Independence Day. Blake, a top 25 Padres prospect, a 21-year-old from Costa Mesa, California, and one of the really good guys in baseball. And so, Blake, we've missed you here in Fort Wayne. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. How you doing?
Doing great. I'm happy to be at home with my family during these tough times, but really excited to join you guys for the game.
Yeah, and after your fantastic season with the TinCaps last year, obviously we wish right now we were pulling for you, playing at a higher level in the Padres system, but certainly a different year than usual here for all of us. And so at this point, where does that find you? I imagine in your home area in California?
Yes, sir. Back here in Costa Mesa, California, back home with my parents and my grandparents and all my buddies. But, yeah, I'm missing baseball for sure, just like everyone right now.
Well, for something that's more usual for you, we've got you behind the plate right now, catching for your good friend and your roommate last year, or one of them, in Joey Cantillo. Now, something for fans to look forward to besides you joining us here today. They can actually catch you on Fox 55 tonight during the 10 o'clock news, as I know you caught up with their sports reporters, Peter Hood and Justin Prince, earlier today. And in the conversation with them, you mentioned that you, during some added free time, have been playing MLB The Show yourself. I'm curious, have you played with yourself in the game?
You know, it's funny you asked that. I have heard that I'm in the game, and obviously I'm watching right now, but I have not been able to find myself on there. I know it's crazy, but yeah, I have been filling a lot of my free time playing the show, Road to the Show, all the different game modes, just to kind of pass the time and get my fix on some baseball for sure.
Well, we have the pleasure of having you in the game here, and I know you've had the chance to tune into some of our broadcasts over the course of this season so far. What's it like seeing yourself in video game form?
It's pretty cool. A dream come true, no doubt. Never really thought I'd be able to see that, and I remember a couple of weeks ago, whenever you guys had Joey on, I think I was catching that game, and I got my first official video game hit, which was pretty cool, and you guys have been so supportive through all this, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and we can't wait until you get that real first major league hit one day, but it is pretty neat that here, even in the video game, they've got good baseball tradition, and that first hit ball gets passed into the dugout. Well, there's a strikeout for Cantillo. He's got 3 now in this game, so it really does look reminiscent of last year. Give us some insight on what how you evaluate your role last year, and I know for you in doing that, it goes beyond just looking at what most fans would probably take a peek at, which would be your offensive stats. But for you, I know something that's probably most important is the job that you do in handling pitchers. And Joey last year was a great example of how the staff had a lot of success working with you.
Yeah, I think from an organizational standpoint, a big key for me last year was to grow as a leader defensively and kind of handle pitching staffs. And obviously, I got the reins a little bit with the younger staff with Joey, Ryan, Gabe, Omar, you know, the younger crowd of guys that was in Fort Wayne. And we kind of grew together and figured it out on our own. And you know, with AC obviously being a great contributor to helping the young guys get through that process and learning how to manage a full season. He did a great job. But, yeah, Joey, Ryan, and I are real close. Pretty fun to watch him deal right now.
How about for those two guys, Joey and Ryan specifically, and we might see Ryan pitch later in this game, depending on Joey's pitch count. We got to watch that here, even in a video game. For Padres fans who may be tuned in and interested in their futures, what makes Joey and Ryan each special and guys for fans to look forward to in the future, too?
I think the thing that they both share is that it factor they have on the mound. They both have a commanding presence that, you know, hitters get in the box and they can feel. Pitching style is a little bit different from both of them. Joey has a pretty high spin rate fastball and some good extension, and his best secondary pitch is his changeup, which we saw him dominate the entire league last year, almost solely with that changeup alone, which is exciting for him to kind of look into the future and see if he can add a third or fourth pitch into that mix consistently, how exciting that's going to be. And then Ryan just has incredibly good location, good changeup, good slider as well. And, you know, he's got that fiery presence up there. You know, they both do, but Ryan's kind of got that it factor as well.
And so for the time being, while you haven't been able to catch guys like that, how have you spent the last 3.5 months or so, and how have you continued to stay sharp as a ball player?
Out here in Southern California, obviously things got pretty bad there for a little bit, so everything was shut down. I was utilizing weights in my garage, and I'm working out with my next door neighbor who's like family, and we were playing catch, and that was basically all I could do other than hit on a tee. But in the last couple of weeks, 3 weeks, everything's opened up, gyms have opened, and I've been able to get out and hit some live at bat, catch bullpens for some other pro and college guys in the area. So it's starting to feel more like baseball, kind of like a normal off-season, getting ready to be heading back soon. Hopefully we're getting a call soon.
Yeah, I hope so, and we'll get more into that here in a bit. In terms of your off-season training, forget about this recent stretch, but I know one thing that makes you kind of unique is that one of the purchases that you had with your signing bonus when you were taken out of high school by the Padres in the second round back in 2017. While for most the most desired items are going to be maybe a new truck or at least golf club, something like that. You invested it in yourself, so to speak, by buying a machine, a pitching machine, so that you could practice your catching. How has that been valuable to you to have to train and continue to better yourself?
That was definitely something that, I talked with my agent, and we had discussed, just like you said, investing in myself and spending that money wisely. And, my dad was very generous to help me out, not purchasing it, but feeding me with the machine. So obviously I can't do it by myself, so my dad's been a huge factor in me getting better, not only with receiving behind the plate off the machine, but also, hitting off it a little bit when we can bring it over to a cage. Which is the closest thing you can do to get some game rep, which is awesome.
Yeah, and your counterpart in this game, Roberto Perez, who last year won a Gold Glove in the AL with the Indians, grounds out to one of your teammates from last year, Tucupita Marcano, for the first out now in the third inning here, as the TinCaps and the Captains are scoreless in MLB The Show. Speaking of big league catchers, I know you grew up really admiring Buster Posey. And then now, since you've been in the Padres organization, at times you've had an up-close look at how someone like Austin Hedges goes about his business. As a pro now, a couple of years under your belt, what have you learned about what it takes to be a high-level catcher, not only in minor league baseball, but up towards the big leagues?
In professional baseball, you kind of learn that being a catcher is a service job, that we're there to serve others, we're there to serve our pitching staff and kind of take the hit and take the brunt of all the physical reps on the field. And that comes with spring training with bullpens and any extra work with video, which I'm more than happy to do. But obviously being around Austin Hedges, who's someone very dedicated to his craft defensively, getting to watch him firsthand and how dedicated he is to his pitching staff at our complex, it just speaks volume to like what kind of player I want to be one day. Obviously that's a lot of hours after practice and before practice. It's all the optional stuff. It's not just the mandatory team activities. So no doubt, obviously, offensive stuff needs to be worked on a little bit too. But as a catcher, we're there to help bolster that pitching staff.
Yeah, and you mentioned there how some of it entails work off the field. And over these last 3.5 months, where at times you haven't been able to be on the field, how have you still worked with the Padres and the player development staff to continue to hone the craft?
Our catching department's done an amazing job right from the get-go of when we were sent home after spring training with all this COVID stuff going on. They started to set up Zoom meetings. We have 3 a week, and it's with all of our catching coaches, AJ Ellis, Brian Watley, Brian Lessman, just to name a few. AC's actually been on those calls as well. And we have all the catches on there, and we have a different topic every Wednesday that we need to talk about, whether it be relationships with umpires, relationships with pitching staff, actual physical pitch framing and receiving, and then we also have some more physical Zoom classes at other times in the week too, where we're working on our mobility. So they've done a great job to keep us mentally prepared as well as physically.
And I think it's easy to say that catcher is the toughest position to play in baseball. And boy, Tucupita Marcano there nearly poked one out to dead center. We didn't necessarily get to see that thump from Tucu all that much last year, but he's chopping over at third with a triple. And now Blake is on deck with Northeast Indiana native Josh Van Meter coming up. But Blake, so much goes into being a catcher, even things that the average fan would never even think about, like developing a relationship, a cordial relationship, if you can, with umpires. One of the names you mentioned who's been helpful to you and the Padres organization is A.J. Ellis. Now, A.J. Ellis recently retired after a really successful big league career. Probably most notably was basically the preferred catcher for Clayton Kershaw for all of his Cy Young award-winning seasons. What's an example of something that you've been able to pick up from A.J. Ellis?
Yeah, he's really helped me on the mental side of things. And one of the goals for me that has been displayed from the organization on like a player card for me, things we need to work on is kind of just like knowing how to lead a pitching staff, and obviously the young pitching staff that I'm around. Obviously, organizational-wise, we're very young, and kind of taking the reins and kind of acting as that coach out there. We've been on plenty of calls together, and we've gone to lunch whenever we're out during season, and he's very well known for that, obviously, with Kershaw, and just not only him, but the Dodgers. There's a reason he was in the big leagues for so long. He was someone that everyone wanted to throw to. And I kind of look to that, and more than not, it's an intangible trait that you have, but it's something that we're working on, and there's no amount of like endless resources that I'm working with him on.
That's very interesting to hear. Just gave a good one, gave one a good ride down the right field line, but foul. So 0-1 against Shane Bieber. Blake pokes it out to right field. That's down for a hit. Marcano scores, and the TinCaps are on the board. It's an RBI single for Blake Hunt. Way to go, Blake.
Pretty cool. Appreciate it.
And we'll have to give credit there, too, to Zach Webb, our video production intern, behind the controller right now as he comes through in the clutch. And the TinCaps trying to continue this 77-0 start to the season, off to a 1-0 lead. Are you able to have the stream up in front of you right now?
I am, yeah.
All right, what do you think of the approach and swing there?
A little inside out, a little jam, got in on me a little bit, but pretty good mechanically. Yeah, I'm digging the green shoes too. Those are pretty sweet.
Yeah, you were styling throughout your time here last year, and I appreciate again all the tremendous knowledge you're passing along. I actually think it would be awesome to have a chance one day to really broadcast a game with you. I know that's something that, way down the road, whenever you finish up your playing career, you've had some thoughts about maybe trying to go into broadcasting, and we see so often that a lot of times the best analysts on big league broadcasts are former catchers because of your view of the entire game. I'm curious, when you're just watching, maybe not a video game, but watching a big league game on TV, where are your eyes drawn to? What are you studying when you watch?
More so than anything else, I'm watching the catcher. Just kind of looking for little things I can pick up on. My parents, whenever I was younger, would always laugh because we'd be watching a broadcast and I'd say something that's about like happening in the play, and then probably about 5-10 seconds later, you'd hear the announcer say the same thing, and they just kind of knew I had that knack and that baseball IQ, which I take pride in for sure. I definitely count that as one of my strengths in the game. And like you said, catchers kind of have a different eye on the field, and that's why they make not only just good guys in the broadcast booth, but great managers as well, because they just have that it factor. They kind of have that high baseball IQ and savvy.
Yeah, excellent point. Don't want to hold you up here, but do you have enough time to stay with us for another inning?
Absolutely, yeah. Whatever more questions you got, I'm here.
Yeah, thanks. So thanks to Blake, the TinCaps have a 1-0 lead as we enter the fourth. And I know one thing, though, that we don't want to hold you up from is you mentioned to me that you got some homework to do tonight. Now, again, Blake was drafted out of Mater Dei High School in California and bypassed on a scholarship opportunity to Pepperdine University. But right now, I suppose you're taking advantage or use of this free time that you didn't plan on having by taking some online courses, right? So how's that going for you?
It's going well. Making Mama happy. For sure, she definitely was happy whenever I discussed with both my mom and my dad that I was interested to start to, kind of take those steps toward getting a degree one day. And it might take a little bit longer than the traditional route just because I'm having to do it all online. I'm really happy about it. Doing well so far, but definitely a grind for sure. I totally get what all my friends are going through in college.
Yeah, and by the way, please say hi to your parents. One of the joys of getting to do this job is getting to know not only the players, but their families too. And during my time here at Parkview Field, I haven't met anyone nicer and kinder than Blake's family. So I hope that everyone's hanging in there during this tough time. What have been some other, maybe as simple as getting to spend more time with your parents? What have been some of the silver linings of this pandemic period for you?
My grandparents are getting up there in age a little bit, so I'm definitely enjoying getting to see them on a regular basis as well. Not only just with my parents, but my parents own a small business and they've been really busy. So during all this, it's great to be around them and see them thriving. Plus, can't beat this Southern California weather here in the summer.
Yeah, I know. Last year, maybe we weren't the fondest of the cold weather that we had in Fort Wayne and around the Midwest in April and May, and then with the snap of a finger, it got excessively humid, as it does in these parts of the country. But that said, I know you would take it. You wish you were back suited up again right now. And of course, this past week we have seen activity once more at Major League ballparks with MLB summer camps starting. In the case of MLB teams, they're going to have 60 guys on the roster. We've seen the Padres not fill all those spots yet. I'm not sure. What are you hearing in terms of what potential opportunities could there be for you yet this year? So much remains up in the air as it is such a struggle to have a return to the field. But be it some kind of training, summer camp with the Padres or fall league in Arizona, do you have any sense of what could be in store for you this year?
I'm not too sure about the summer camp thing. Obviously, it's really cool for, I think it was Joey, Ryan, CJ, and Tuku that all got that call to come up, which is awesome. They're all very, very hard workers, and I definitely have faith that they're going to, open some eyes with the organization now that they're down there in San Diego, which is awesome. We do have a possibility of hopefully an instructional league in Arizona if things kind of calm down a little bit, and then maybe fall league too. Who knows? There's just so many unknowns right now because the industry across the board is just, it's just unprecedented time. So the Padres have been in contact, and I guess we're just taking it day by day, and I'm ready to go whenever I do get that call, wherever that may be, to head off to.
Yeah, and hoping that comes sooner rather than later. In the meantime, looking back to last year, what were some memories, or how would you overall just describe your experience getting to play for the TinCaps?
It was a growth year, for sure. I feel like just from start to finish alone during those 5 months for the season, the player I left Fort Wayne was definitely not the player I showed up as. Maturity-wise, physically, across the board, everything. I just learned so much from my coaching staff. And I love the city of Fort Wayne. That was a fun time. Unbelievable stadium, unbelievable fans, so loyal. And granted, I do want to hopefully move up the ranks here and move on up the ladder towards San Diego, but I will definitely have fond memories of my summer in the Fourth.
Yeah, and since we are coming up on the 4th of July, and in this game we've got the TinCaps wearing the red, white, and blue jerseys. Last year, it was a record-setting crowd of more than 9,000 fans at Parkview Field on Independence Day. Specific to that night, what memory do you have from playing on the 4th?
Yeah, the crowd, no doubt. I mean, that just stood out from whenever I was warming up. I believe Sam Keating pitched that day for us, and we were both warming up in the outfield. We just couldn't believe how many people were there. A really, really fun vibe throughout the city. We had the fireworks show afterward in downtown, it kind of had some fun Sandlot vibes to it, which is awesome. And then, not to mention, I think we ended up losing the game. So yeah, of course you want to go out there and win every single one, but fond memories, of course. Always remember that one.
For sure. And any other specific memories stand out?
I mean, I don't remember how I played. I just remember we lost. That's all I got.
Yeah, not from the 4th of July, over the course of the season. Any highlights? Any good positive memories?
Oh yeah, I think we set a TinCap record for a comeback in one of those games. I think it was against Peoria. We were down like 9 runs, I believe, and we came all the way back. That was a fun one. I think that was actually, we had like a themes night. I think some of those announcers from ESPN were there. And then the other game, early in the year, cold game, nobody in the stands, and Luis Almanzar hit a go-ahead grand slam in like the 8th inning, which was unreal. I've never had so much adrenaline running through in my life. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great memories. And talking about that comeback against Peoria on the Dan Levitard radio show night, I know that was a comeback that really was ignited by you. I believe you hit a home run midway through that game when started to chip into what was a 9-run deficit.
Yeah, that was a team effort, absolutely. Definitely got a good pitch and kind of sparked the rally, but across the board, entire offense showed up that night.
Yeah, and so Blake, what message do you have to fans who are tuned in general, the baseball fans in Fort Wayne?
Well, I mean, I'm just happy baseball's back. I'm sure like everyone else is, and whenever the TinCaps do get back to Parkview Field, everyone pack it out, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
Great message, and actually, I'm not sure if you saw, but on social media the other day after it was announced that there won't be a minor league baseball season, MILB on social media put out the question asking fans what minor league baseball means to them. They actually used a picture that featured you because one night last year playing up at Great Lakes, there were hot air balloons that were flying over the stadium, which was pretty cool in itself when you were behind the plate and so showcasing that picture. But what does minor league baseball and the experience that you've had so far mean to you?
You know, I think across the board, whenever you're going into minor league baseball and when you're meeting with scouts, you kind of hear all the horror stories about the conditions across, like, at every level, and how you kind of have to prove yourself if you do want to make it one day, and how it'll be worth it, but you kind of have to grind through it first. So far, everything I've experienced in the Padres organization at each affiliate, you guys in Fort Wayne, Tri-City, and even in Arizona and rookie ball, I've had nothing but good experiences. So I am a little bummed to hear that they're cutting down the draft for future, so that not as many guys are going to get to experience what life is like. But if any guys out there do, definitely go for it. I mean, obviously everyone's dream is to be a big leaguer, but you gotta bet on yourself if you want to try and make it. It's been life-changing, and I've created so many memories so far that I'll never forget.
Well said, and again, can't wait to see what more memories you can create going forward on your way, hopefully to Petco Park. We got 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th inning with Franmil Reyes up, a couple on base. But Blake, anything else that you want to add? Thanks again so much for what you've already shared.
No, I mean, I'm very happy. Thank you so much, John, for having me on. Miss getting to see you at the ballpark every day. Hopefully we'll be back soon.
Yep, can't wait to see, even if you're not here, just with the next crop of TinCaps to come through in the future. I guess the last thing, is there any like specific baseball thing that you miss that you don't get to experience on a day-to-day basis now?
I miss getting to throw guys out. No better feeling than whenever you release the ball thrown down to second, you can see it right on money. It's a great feeling for me, and yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do it in the Padres uniform pretty soon.
Love it, and we certainly saw, in addition to home runs and doubles, lots of defensive highlights from you last year, Blake. But most importantly, really on behalf of the organization and all of our fans here in Fort Wayne, thanks so much for being the stand-up guy that you were, being someone who would, get down on a knee to sign autographs for kids, take time to have conversations with fans during a post-game jersey exchange, really making the extra effort. I think back to not just last year, but all my times here with the TinCaps, and a vivid memory that stands out is that you were the type of guy who would play catch pregame with a kid maybe who came up to the front row. So, thanks for being the guy that you are.
Thank you so much. Yeah, the people of Fort Wayne were so kind, and the TinCap staff. So many fond memories and all the nice people there. Little shout out to my guy Swirly, Sam Lewis. He's the best clubby I've ever had. So yeah, I'm gonna miss everybody there.
Yep. Well, Blake, we could keep talking to you forever, but do want to let you get back to some of that homework and baseball work and family time that you've got, and looking forward to seeing your return to the field soon.
Hey, thanks for having me on, John. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks to Blake Hunt. Right now, the TinCaps have a lead over the Lake County Captains here. There's a live look at Parkview Field, but let's take things back to a great past memory of some of the between-innings fun at the ballpark.
Fans, direct your attention to the area in front of the TinCaps dugout. It's time for today's Muscleman Stack and Dash. Here's also with all the play-by-play action.
Thanks, Jared. You said it. It's time for the Muscleman's stack and dash. We've got two teams. It's father and son versus father and son. So close to the baseline, we've got Dan and the birthday boy, Colton. Closest to the dugout, we've got Brian and Brady. Now, when I say go, the sons are going to race down, grab a tube, come back, put it over their dad. When all 4 tubes are around the dad, they got to run around the staff member back to the finish line. First one there is the winner. Contestants, on your mark, get set, go. Here we go. First tube coming back around the dads. Slight lead for Colton in flip-flops, no less. Very impressive. But it is still a very close race. They're going down there for that 4th tube. Oh, a slip. Will that be costly? 4 tubes there. Here's where the races are won and lost. He lost a tube. I don't know. Oh, you got to go back around the staff member. I don't know. He didn't fit. Oh no. Oh no. Is he going to be able to get back up? A fantastic effort, but I think we got to give it to Brian and Brady. Let's hear it for all 4 contestants in the Musselman stack and dash.
Hey, be sure to pick up your Musselman's applesauce, available at select concession stands at Parkview Field. Visit musselmans.com for recipe ideas.
Hey, don't forget that TinCaps are still giving you the taste of Parkview Fields here even in a year with no season. TinCaps meal kits are available to order online at tincaps.com. We've been telling you since late April that the team has been offering family-size meal kits. Well, now you can still get a family-size meal kit, but new to the menu is a 2-person option as well for those who aren't necessarily looking to have the entire fridge and freezer full, but a great way to get the award-winning food from our executive chefs at Parkview Field. Everything pre-cooked, provided with some reheating. Instructions and all the details are online at tincaps.com.
I got the count. 0-2.
And thanks again to you for joining us right now, whether that's on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. If you're a true gamer, we've got the TinCaps here on PS4 playing MLB The Show. It's our video production intern, Zach Webb, at the controls. Tim Bajema, our producer. I'm John Nolan. Jack McMullen has this week off. Just had Padres catching prospect Blake Hunt with us for the last few innings. Along the way, the TinCaps putting a few runs up on the board, including one driven in by Blake, in support of Joey Cantillo, who continues to cruise. Cantillo last year, the Midwest League left-handed pitcher of the year. In less than a full season, he earned himself a promotion up to High A Lake Elsinore in August.
0-1's the count.
Joey had a couple of 10 strikeout games last season. Matter of fact, he was the Midwest League's pitcher of the month for June. With the shift on, there's a base hit. Bobby Bradley, currently ranked as the number 12 prospect for the Indians, with only the 2nd hit for Lake County, and they're their first since the first. And with Bradley, you don't necessarily expect a single. Here's a guy who, back during his time with the Captains in 2015, hit 27 home runs. And how did the TinCaps respond after the hit? Cantillo gets Clint Frazier to ground into a double play. Halfway through, TinCaps 3, Captains nothing. Now some more entertainment between innings. It's the Bungee Challenge.
Fans, direct your attention to the area in left field. It's time for tonight's Rudy's Bungee Challenge. And at ringside, here's Austin.
Thanks, Jared. You said it. It's time for the Rudy's Bungee for Footballs Challenge. We've got 2 contestants today. In the blue is Corey. In the red, he says his name is Fluffhead, so that's what we're going with. Now they're going to race against each other to fill their baskets with the footballs in the hula hoop here. First one to get all the footballs in the basket is the winner. Cheer them on, everybody. On your mark. Get set, go. Here we go. Low man wins on that first pull. Oh, jeez. Someone's got to throw a flag on that. 2-2, 3-3. It's going to come down to these final. Oh, boy, watch out. Red, Fluffhead down to his final football, and he jogs over, and he's going to be our winner. Let's hear it for both contestants in the Rudy's Bungee for Footballs Challenge.
And stop by Rudy's following tonight's game for cold Indiana brew beer, Indiana wines, and slushies. Rudy's located just across the street from Parkview Field on Brackenridge and sponsors the Thirsty Thursdays here at Parkview Field.
Well, we've told you as a thank you from us to you for tuning in tonight. We're giving you 15% off if you shop during this broadcast at TinCaps.com using the promo code LIVE15. But in case you want to shop live in person, you can do that this Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. during the Fort Wayne Farmers Market. The Orchard Team store will be open in addition to dozens of other local vendors as a way for you to support some small businesses in the region and also get a great look at the field in case you just missed being inside the gates. And you can shop in the Orchard Team store. And if you want to get started right now, though, 15% off using that promo code that Johnny TinCaps holding live 15. And here we are live at Parkview Field playing MLB The Show. Josh Van Meter whacks that into right field for a leadoff base hit. Van Meter currently in summer camp with the Cincinnati Reds after he made his big league debut for the Reds last year, following his time as a TinCap in 2014 and 15. Now our guest from earlier, Blake Hunt, looks at a 94-mile-an-hour fastball from Shane Bieber for a called strike. Maybe a pitch out there, but Van Meter not going. Shane Bieber was a fourth-round pick for the Indians in 2016 out of UC Santa Barbara. It was that following year that he pitched to the Midwest League. Borderline pitch. It's a called third strike. Blake doesn't like it, and you figure Blake's got a pretty good idea for the strike zone. And on the replay, that did appear to be low, but punched out. And there's one away now with Van Meter at first as the order recycles to the top with Malik Smith. Up the middle, it goes off of Bieber, and Smith, with the excellent speed, legs it out safely. Van Meter up in a scoring position at second. 1 out, 2 on for Trey Turner. See if Bieber's okay. That was a hot shot right back at him. Line to center, and it's caught for the second out.
The bat, the shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr.
Tatis with a rocket to right center field. And it hops off the wall. With 2 outs, this will score 2. It's a double for Tatis, and the Caps expand their lead to 5-0. Tatis doing Tatis things. And it's a shame, again, this coming weekend, not only will we miss out on the 4th of July celebration at Parkview Field. Here, Tatis has knocked Bieber out of the game. But Sunday, July 5th, was scheduled to be Fernando Tatis Jr. bobblehead day here at Parkview Field. And so stay tuned for details on what will become of the 1,000 bobbleheads that were ordered to be a free giveaway here on Sunday. With Torrey Hunter coming up now, he'll face Adam Plutko with 2 outs. Really has been a tradition here at Parkview Field to celebrate Independence Day. The TinCaps have been home on the 4th every single year since the ballpark opened in 2009, and the team was even open or was home on 4th of July most years during the Wizards days, like when Torrey Hunter played here. Well, at the end of 5, it's the TinCaps 5 and the Captains nothing. Well, we already had one special guest with us on the broadcast here this evening, as we had Padres catching prospect Blake Hunt with us earlier. And now we get a bonus special with us here live at Parkview Field tonight in Megan Sally from Fort Wayne's NBC, who's doing a bit of a behind-the-scenes story with us here tonight. Well, Megan, it's great to see you. How you doing?
Here and be with you guys and not be shooting highlights of the baseball game.
Right, weird times for everyone, not only for those of us working for the TinCaps or for those used to playing like Blake, but in your role covering the team, and you were out here last year on a nightly basis, and now you don't have TinCaps games to cover, and there really haven't been too many events whatsoever for the last 3.5 months to cover. So what has life been like for a local sports reporter?
Interesting, to say the least. I think that we're all just trying to stay busy, come up with creative ideas to make sure people stay engaged with Fort Wayne, which is such a sports town in itself. So we are trying so hard to bring light to different stories, catch up with guys like Josh Van Meter that we just saw here on the show, and what he's doing in the off season and what he's doing now that that the MLB is getting ready to come back.
Yeah, and what we saw you guys covering Josh playing with the youth team that he grew up playing for, the Sluggers, and then I saw a story he was playing down in Indianapolis, and now finally more of the real thing for him in the Red Summer Camp. But I've been so impressed at the job that you and your partner Chris Ryan have done as the sports team for Fort Wayne's NBC, and for that matter, all of the sports reporters in our local market, with all the obstacles you're facing, including doing your broadcast from your apartment, right?
That's right. So I feel like I've done some interior decorating, just trying to figure out, okay, what honestly looks okay in the background? Where are all my books? I'm not a big reader. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't have tons and tons of books. I do a lot of article reading, but I don't have novels upon novels. So when you look at professional broadcasters and what they're doing at home, they're setting up their bookshelves. They're setting up their trophies, if you will, or their awards. And right now, I mean, John, I've only been in the industry for about 5 years, so I have a few awards, but I also don't really know what to put behind me. So I have like a Wyoming poster. I used to live out in Wyoming, so I have a Wyoming poster, and people keep joking that I need to change it. And I have just some of my stuff from, graduating and whatnot. But yeah, it's been really interesting how to set up a backdrop in your living room.
Well, yeah, if only it was as easy as, for example, Jeff Passan, the MLB reporter for ESPN. I don't know if you've seen this, but Jeff Passan has shown a sneak peek that he literally has a screen that he has put up behind him. So when you see him on ESPN, it looks like he has the bookshelf like you were describing, everything looking neat and orderly, but it's actually a screen that goes up and down. But yeah, we don't necessarily have the budgets for that here, whether at Parkview Field or over at Fort Wayne's NBC.
Yeah, and I don't even know if my apartment could fit one of those things. I mean, it's just me. I don't got much in my
and
apartment.
Your cat, I've seen.
And my cat. Yeah, my cat's an interesting little guy, but he's...
When we have, of course, our producer, Tim Badgema, he is a big cat guy himself. He's had some cats at home to quarantine with. What's your cat's name?
Oh, gosh. His name is Fish, and I don't know if Tim knew
Interesting name for a cat.
Yeah. So when I introduce him to people, I say, well, this is my cat Fish, and I also catch people off guard.
Catfish itself now has a different definition.
Yeah, it does not stand for a little cute brown tiger cat in your house. But I do have, he keeps me busy. And when I do meet people and I start talking about my cat named Fish, they get confused. They think I have a goldfish or like a fish in a tank. But then I say, oh, no, it's actually my cat. So it's very strange.
Tim is telling us in our headsets right now that if he gets another cat, he might name it Fox. We don't want to talk about Fox, though. We want to talk about Fort Wayne's NBC. We already talked about our friends Peter Hood and Justin Prince earlier tonight. But, yeah, kidding aside, I've been really impressed, though, that you all have continued to do the fantastic storytelling that you do during regular times. What have been some stories that you've been proud to share here over the last few months?
Yeah, I think one that really sticks out to me is when the NFL draft went forward and, they did everything from home virtually, and you saw the opening video that the NFL put on, and they had fans come on and hold up signs of their favorite teams and signs that support like local nurses and stuff like that. I actually caught up with a girl that made that opening video, didn't know that she made the video and made the final cut. But she was giving her New Orleans Saints a shout out, and also the service workers here in Fort Wayne and all the nurses. She actually had just graduated from St. Francis and was going to be a nurse here. I can't remember exactly which hospital, and just the fact that she had no idea that she literally made her national TV broadcast without even knowing was really interesting. And just, again, just a shout out to all those nurses and all of those service members that are still doing so much for our town.
Yeah, that was wild to see. It really was one of the first shots of the NFL draft, which has been as big really as any sporting event since the pandemic began here in this country back around mid-March. And go figure, not a Colts fan here in Fort Wayne making it, but a New Orleans Saints fan.
Yeah, I asked her why she was a Saints fan, and she just said her dad had brought her along. And, well, that's why I'm a Yankees fan, because I grew up watching the Yankees being from New York, and that's why I love baseball so much, is going down to Yankee Stadium and watching my guys play. And so as we're here in an empty ballpark right now, we all hope that, well, the MLB can really start to bring some of that hope alive and some of that entertainment back to us.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Megan originally from the Syracuse, New York area, so about 5 hours away from the Bronx, but that's really cool that you had a chance to catch some Yankees games over the years. And some news related to baseball earlier today. Hal Steinbrenner, owner of the Yankees, said that they're hoping that at some point this summer they can maybe have Yankee Stadium at about 20 to 30% capacity as they try to work towards having seats around the stadium for fans socially distanced. So something that, again, hope is able to work out. But, yeah, talking about your baseball fandom, growing up with a AAA team in the area, not to mention the Yankees a little bit further away, but did you go to minor league baseball games as a kid?
Yeah, so the Syracuse Chiefs is what we called them back, and now they're the Syracuse Mets, so they are still AAA. And I've seen, I believe I saw Steven Strasburg start out there, which is one of those big name guys that I remember watching him pitch, and even as a young woman, I knew how good he was. It was very, like, he stood out. And then you have the major leaguers come down and rehab, and I went to a lot of Syracuse Chiefs games growing up, and now the Syracuse Mets have Tim Tebow, so that's a whole different ballpark, if you will. So that's been some entertainment for my folks that are back there, and they still do nights like the TinCaps do. You know, they have the $1 hot dogs, and you have the beers, and those entertainment things that families are able to bring everyone out and have a good time.
Yeah, that's really cool. And Steven Strasburg and Bryce Harper, a couple of the notable names that came through Syracuse in the last decade or so. And then within an hour or so from where you grew up, too, there is a short season team, the Auburn Double Days. It's a bit of a different experience. Did you ever go to any Double Days games?
I did not. I kind of blame that on being an athlete myself, and I'm sure that we were already running around as it is. And going to a Syracuse Chiefs game was as about as good as it gets, but also not many people know this or maybe remember this, but we actually had a soccer team that played at the Syracuse Chiefs Stadium, which was PNC Stadium, I believe. Might be something different now. Haven't been there in a while.
Historic NBT Bank Stadium.
Yes, so it's they had it was called the Salty Dog Soccer Team, and it was like pro soccer, and so we went to those games too, and those were really fun. I mean, anytime you can get the whole family to come out and just kind of, sports are my life, right? So anytime you get the whole family to come out and enjoy a ball game or a soccer game, it's a good time.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it was that professional soccer team or maybe an indoor professional soccer team in Syracuse, actually, that DeMarcus Beasley's brother, Southside alum, once played for.
I think I'm not sure there. I know that the indoor soccer team, I believe they're still going. I mean, obviously with COVID-19, I'm not sure where they stand, but yeah, that does exist, John.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you've got to do your story, but do you have enough time for another half inning here with us?
I think I can get through it. I don't really have a whole lot going on. I know that's so that story that we're doing from behind the scenes here and what's actually going on here. I know John is broadcasting and he's not actually looking at the field, which he said it's really hard when he actually hears the crack of the bat. He doesn't necessarily look out to the field, but he has to look at a monitor, which is very different, and a lot of broadcasters are doing that now. So that's just one thing, part of the story that we'll include. And make sure to follow me on Twitter. You can see my handle up here at Megan Sally TV, and I'm going to let you guys know exactly when that full story will air. And I think it'll be kind of funny just from what you guys are doing and also entertaining. I've had a good time just kind of listening to a game, which is just so funny.
Yeah, and we appreciate you joining us here tonight, and I really look forward to seeing that story because I don't know what's going on the other side of the press box. That's where Zach's playing the game, Tim is producing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like from their perspective.
Yeah.
How about Malik Smith showing some pop with a 2-run homer to right center field. Smith, during his time as a TinCap, certainly more known for his base stealing ability and his speed. That year he was in the Lost Art of the Bunt competition rather than a home run derby. And even in this virtual season, it's the first time that Zach has hit one out with Malik's. And the TinCaps now piling on and seem to be on their way to improving this perfect start to the season. They'd be 78-0 if they hang on. Now, have you done some investigating as part of this story to determine, kind of the settings that Zach is using playing this game and whether or not the rumors are true that he's ever had to push the reset button?
I don't want to dig too deep here. I think
it's not an investigative story. It's more of a puff piece, is it?
Yeah, it's more of a fun story, but if you guys want me to come back and really get to the bottom of it, I can. I don't mind kind of pushing people's buttons, just being the sarcastic person I am. I'm not going to press it on Zach. He's still pretty new here with you guys. So.
Yeah, I guess we should be nice to Zach. We appreciate what he's doing. Zach these days is also working for our friends over at Georgetown Bowling and Entertainment. So, maybe if it's a positive piece on him, maybe that scores like a free round of bowling.
Yeah, I could definitely use some practice at bowling. I am not a bowler. I am, though, starting to take up some golf.
Right, yeah. So
yeah.
How's your golf game going here as you try to work on that with some extra time?
So this is a pretty funny story. Last week, I took some time off, and I had some time to myself, so I said, well, I'm going to go play 9 holes. And I haven't I've only played on a golf course like I think 3 or 4 times, so this is my 3rd or 4th time out there, and I end up getting to the 8th hole and I have my first par.
Whoa, congrats.
But the kicker is that when I decided to go play 9 holes, I went by myself and I just joined 3 retired guys that were just having a good time. They know the course. I followed them along. And so I experienced my first par with 3 strangers, Ted, Rich, and Jim. And they had a good time because I was still learning, but it's just a very ironic story.
And a quick plug for anyone else looking to play some golf, maybe yourself included. I think you'd be eligible. If you go to TinCapsWin.com, you can have a chance to go out to the Noble Hawk golf links, golf for 4 with a cart, or in case, you really are giving up on your golf game, your bowling game, Laser X Family 5-pack plus $10 in arcade coupons also available.
All right, well, those are good options, John.
Yeah, I think I'm not eligible to enter to win. But, again, for anyone tuned in, go to TinCapsWin.com. And the TinCaps appear to be on their way to winning this game behind Joey Cantillo on the mound, Blake Hunt behind the plate, Tucapita Marcano in the field with C.J. Abrams. And so those were guys last year for you in your first spring and summer working here in Fort Wayne that you got to cover. What was your experience like last year getting to follow and cover the TinCaps?
Well, I think you first realize how these guys are growing in their game, and as you look towards the beginning of the season, then you kind of look towards the end of the season and how much guys grow and how much they're trying to continue to become a professional baseball player. And you get to know some of these guys, and they're just great. They're energetic. Their personalities shine through. I've been able to talk to Ryan Weathers a little bit, and he's a guy that will always kind of let you in on, what he's doing right now to prepare for baseball. And I just had a really good time getting to know them. It was something new for me, obviously being new to Fort Wayne relatively, and then them being new to Fort Wayne. So that's something that you could always talk about with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and certainly for yourself as a reporter, you see how all the minor league teams in the market here are unique in their own ways, from the Comets to the Mad Ants to the TinCaps, and then great to mix in the collegiate and high school and youth sports here too. So yeah, for you, a year and a half or so in, what have been some highlights for you being in Fort Wayne?
Oh, yeah. Man, I think they come and go in spurts of the memories that you have. And for baseball, I feel like one of those memories that you guys actually talked about earlier with Blake is that comeback that you had. So I was shooting highlights of that game, and I believe we were down 5 runs or so.
9 runs at one point.
Yeah, so we were down 5 at one point when I was shooting the highlights, and I said, well, I'm going to leave.
Pack it up. I don't blame you. I was in that mode here. I couldn't actually do it, but if I had the option to, I would have left as well.
Yeah, and then I checked it when I got back to the station. I said, okay, they're coming back, and we continued to watch it. And it was it Juwan Harris who hit that? Was it a home run, or what did he hit?
Yeah, he hit a grand slam that tied it in the bottom of the 8th inning, and then later in that bottom of the 8th, the TinCaps scored again to take the lead, and they held on in the 9th.
Yeah, that was just one of those